Do you support Donald Trump?
I do, yes.
Okay. Why so?
Well, forgive me for being misinformed or whatever, but I I I I don't know too much about politics. So I was wondering. I wrote some stuff down, and I was wondering if you could help me with that.
I got you.
So one of the things I wrote down is what was the deal? This is stupid. What was the deal with Trump's daughter?
Uh, what was the deal with his daughter? Or what do you mean?
Well, because I saw a screenshot in one of the comments on a political video that said it was a picture of Trump on a talk show, maybe. It looked pretty old, but he said, if you weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating you or something like that.
Yeah.
Is that something he truly said?
Yep.
Is there any more context you could give or that I could find? Oh, keep in mind, I forgot to tell you, I don't have any sources with me because I just don't have the what's the word? Devices. I only have the phone.
Okay. So wait, what are you asking for?
Is there any more context that you could give me
No, that's
for
all the
that statement?
context for you. He said he'd be
That's
dating his own daughter if it wasn't his daughter. Yeah. He also
that's
said yeah to Howard Stern calling his daughter a piece of ass.
oh wow,
He called his
that's
daughter
not good.
voluptuous.
Yikes. And then okay, so well, I guess I'll cross that off.
Yeah, no context makes that better. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Well, I don't know about that, but
What extra
uh,
context is there, Grant?
No, I'm saying there is no context to add to that to make that sound any better. Like he
oh
just straight
yeah,
up said that.
Oh,
that's
and
unfortunate.
Grant's totally okay with that.
No, I'm not okay with that. I'm saying there's no context to make it sound like that's an okay thing to say.
Okay, so
Like
then why
if
do
you
you
think
support
about
him?
it, no, I do support him because it's like the worst are the worst. He may not be the best president, but in my opinion,
Like the
I
lesser
like
of the
his
evils.
policies more than other people.
How so?
He just stands for a lot more things that are more like biblically correct in my opinion.
A lot more things that are biblically correct, really.
Yes.
Like cheating on every single one of his wives, the 30,000 confirmed lies in his first administration,
Okay,
the
like I
never
said,
asking God for forgiveness.
I don't agree on everything with him, but his standpoint on things like, pro-life and everything like that, I agree with that stuff because someone who raised in a church,
I have a
it's
question. Is that it? Is that all you can mention? Name one other value of Christianity that he upholds more than the other side. Seriously, name one other Christian value that he upholds more outside
Excuse
of the
me.
context of abortion. I can't hear you.
Excuse me. I think he might be gone, but may I ask another question that I wrote down?
Go ahead.
I wrote down: Is Trump, or is he not trying to make the United States more like the Constitution? And would that be a good thing if he did?
He actually called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, has denied and not followed Supreme Court orders. He's directly violated the Constitution and calls for the of a Constitution to be changed by executive order without there being a constitutional amendment change.
Got it.
traditional family structures like getting rid of like allowing trans like stuff like that, LGBTQ, all that.
Getting rid of trans people, you think that's a good thing?
No, like getting rid of the operations to allow it, like for
Well, you think?
younger people.
Oh,
Like
okay.
the
Wait.
hotline?
You mean? Are you talking about surgeries? Young
Yeah, pretty much like banning it and
minors
only recognizing two
minors
genders.
are not getting surgeries.
They were underneath the Biden administration.
What? What policy did the Biden-Harris administration have on that?
They didn't. That's why Trump made one to ban it.
Okay, you're saying they didn't have a policy. So Trump didn't have a policy under his first administration?
He probably did, but he wasn't able to execute it until now.
Okay, so why wasn't he able to execute it when it was an executive order?
I'm back in his first one. I'm not sure. I was like,
He
I
was
think
able to do the executive order. Why didn't he do it?
I couldn't tell you. I wasn't into much politics back then.
Okay.
If I'm being straight up honest, this is my first election I was able to vote in and look at all the facts.
Okay. So your priority is to kick trans people is to limit trans people from getting access to basic medical basic medical care.
No, not basic medical. I don't know how to phrase it in the way that it should sound. Like it's. I don't
Do you have an
agree
issue
on
with
being able to
do you have an issue with
change.
adults getting access to gender affirming care?
Yeah, because there's only two genders, male and female. You
You
shouldn't
have
be
an
able to
issue
change
with
it.
it. You have an issue with adults getting access to gender affirming care. You know that there are people who are not trans who get access to gender affirming care as well.
Okay. I don't think I clearly understood what you meant. I meant people changing their sex, not like if it's a female and she needs
Oh, I think
female
maybe I'm
amenities.
interrupting,
Yeah,
but
I agree with
you
that.
can't change your sex, but you're talking about in terms of, right, like someone who's trans. You're just saying someone who's trans getting access to gender affirming care shouldn't be allowed.
I
Well, I
think
mean,
he
if
might
you're a
mean
male and you're trying to be
reassignment
female and
surgery.
get female amenities, like
Wait,
that doesn't make sense.
I have a question to you. Have you ever watched the movie like Freaky Friday?
I don't know what that is.
I
Like,
have, I think,
yeah,
once.
yeah, like
The one with Lindsay Lohan?
yeah, like where they swap bodies, like
Yeah, I've
their
never seen
minds
Yes,
that.
swap
yes.
bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard of it.
Okay,
I
so
think,
I I
sorry.
in this context, I have a question. If your mind was put into the body of someone who is biologically female, would it still make sense to call you a man?
Well, they switched it back, though.
Well, think about it this way: if you when you swap bodies, would it make sense to still call you a man?
I
That
think
doesn't.
if you're
That
going off of what you see, then yes. And before I finish, um, if you're going off of what you see, then yes. But I I don't think that people should be actively trying to, like, I think I heard a story about this kid who was only exposed to pro transgender stuff, and he uh he he was exposed to it, and now he's a woman, or he grew up to be a woman
No.
because he was only exposed to those things.
What? Okay, hold up. I'm sorry. I
I think
have a
to your
question. I have a
answer,
question. Do you think that you could have been taught to be trans?
I think if you're exposed to something as a, I'm sorry if this doesn't directly answer your question, but I think if you're directly exposed to something as a kid, then you're gonna grow up thinking that to be true
Well,
in the same
okay.
way that,
Well, then most of
sorry,
the stuff that people are exposed to is the fact that you shouldn't be trans. That's what people are exposed to within society. Being trans is heavily stigmatized within our society.
is it
right?
objectively right?
Yeah, that's
Well, what do you
correct.
mean? What do you mean objective? Wait, say that again.
Is it objectively right to be transgender?
Objectively, yes, it's right to be transgender. I'm confused.
Like, is it okay? Is what he's saying.
Yeah.
Or uh, let me rephrase. Um, is it objectively right to to if you're like a younger transgender person, is it objectively right or wrong
Like when
to
here
expose
here
like hormone
I
blockers?
thought you were just saying is it descriptively true? Yes, it's descriptively true, right? A trans woman is a woman, a trans man is a man.
Yeah. So is are things like hormone blockers objectively right or wrong because those are defying the natural order of the human body?
I'm confused what you mean now. So before, when I thought you were saying objectively right or wrong, I thought you were just saying descriptively true. Now I don't really know what you mean. So what do you mean by objectively right or wrong? Because when it comes to like objective and subjective morality, I believe in subjective morality. I think the idea of objective morality is kind of nonsense.
I'm so sorry for being confusing. Is it right or wrong to expose a young child to things like hormone blockers and hormone therapy for them to acquire attributes of the opposite sex or gender?
I don't think it's wrong for trans people to get access to gender affirming care. In terms of like puberty blockers and hormone replacement therapy, you understand that in this context, cis children are also able to get access to it. So if cis children are also able to get access to it, then why would we restrict trans children from being able to?
I guess I just don't understand, so we can move on if you'd like.
What do you not understand with what I just said?
Well, um,
Wait, so you think it's okay to let children have the ability to change their gender as like an 8-year-old?
I don't know what you mean by change your gender. What does that
Like
mean?
trying like so they're still a man, but they want to be a woman. Like you think that's an okay thing to do?
So when we're talking about like, do I think trans children's identities are valid? Absolutely.
Well, why is that?
I
Why
think
would it be invalid?
there's a
Because
difference
it's immorally
between
correct.
How so?
a
Well, in my beliefs, it's immorally
Why?
correct.
Why is it immoral?
It's because you're trying to be something that you weren't made to be.
What do you mean
Like
made to be?
God created us to be man and woman, not be a man and try and be a
Oh,
woman.
okay.
Like,
So it's the way that God created you. I have a question.
what's up?
Are you Christian?
I am.
Okay. So do you think that gender is biological only?
Yes.
You do? Okay. Is it possible? Like, can you tell me what a father is actually?
A father is the person who is born a male and able to reproduce and not. How do I explain this? Hold on.
So to clarify, God the Father is not actually a father then?
Well,
I
my
think
father is my father. He's the one who helped give
But
birth to
you just
me.
said a father is male. So is
may I
God the
speak on the
Father a father, or is he not actually a father?
I think
That makes no
whenever
sense. Like, how are you supposed to explain what's a father? Like, what?
What? Wait,
I
no,
could be
no. You're
wrong.
saying a father is born male, right? God the Father is not born male, therefore it wouldn't be a
Father is
father.
someone who has XY chromosomes.
God the Father doesn't have XY chromosomes.
May I speak on the God the Father statement, please?
Go ahead.
I think what that means is not that he is a man who has certain chromosomes. I think that when people coined the term or made the term God the Father, they were saying when I think it was Gabriel the archangel told Mary that she was going to have a baby named Jesus.
Hmm.
She, the the baby was conceived out of the miracle of God, and that baby, I believe they looked in the womb years and years later in the modern day, and they saw not the womb. What am I saying? The tomb. Years and years later, and they saw blood or some sort of cells that had, I believe it was 23 chromosomes, and I believe most, like all humans have 46, but Jesus didn't because he
Okay.
was conceived out of
None of
one.
this is verified information.
I don't know what he's.
Okay, that one that's not verified. Two, as it relates to this, we're talking about God the Father, not the Son in this context. We're talking about the Father, which has no biology. And if God the Father has no biology, then it's demonstrating the idea that father as a concept is not solely biologically related, right? It's the case that you can be a father without having a you can be a father without having XY chromosomes. You can be a father without having small gametes. That is not determinant of whether or not you are a father. That is not determinant of whether or not you are a man, because a father is a man, correct?
Yes.
Okay, if a father is a man, well, then it is the case that a man isn't determined specifically on the basis of the fact that you are just having that set of biology, then, because then it's very clear that God the Father then wouldn't be a father if that was the set of definition that you were using. So, since you're clearly using a definition of gender that can say that it's coherent to say that, it's socially related, well, then why would you say that it's invalid when it comes to trans people?
I'm sorry. Forgive me for pausing. I'm
So, in
trying to
which way do
think
you
of my
mean by
words.
father? Do you mean by non-biology, like what's it called, biology way, or without the biological way? Because with the biological way, in order to be a father, for one, there's different roles that a father carries, but then two, the biological way is that a man carries 23 chromosomes mixed with a woman's 23, which equals 46. So, in which way do you mean? Do you mean the biological way, or with just the roles of what a father carries?
When we're using the term father in this context, when we're talking about God the Father, you're using it in a social sense, correct?
I think so. Yes.
Okay. So then
Unless you meant the unless you
so
meant
then
the
you
biblical
can't so
way.
then you can't say it's incorrect for trans people to use a social sense of gender.
Explain further. I don't think I understand what you mean.
You're using a social sense of gender when you're saying that God the Father is a father. So then you can't say that that social sense is incoherent when referencing trans people.
I don't think I still understand.
Okay. I'm sorry.
I
That's
think
probably
he's
a you problem.
comparing. I think he's comparing. I think Parker's comparing
Are you talking
the
about the
God the Father
biblical
statement.
father?
Yes, God the Father in the
Oh,
Bible.
okay. So that's where I got confused. I thought you were talking about something else. Okay.
God the Father in the Bible. God the Father in the Bible has no biology, yet still is considered a father. The idea of fatherhood is then independent of the fact that there's biology.
Yes.
I think that's pretty clear. Is there anything
I'm
else you'd
under
like to
the.
add or talk about, Eric?
Oh, yeah. Sorry, because I think I might be digging myself in a hole with that topic. I have a few other notes. I guess my main question is there a way for you to decide your political views um, without putting religion in the way and going purely off of like how would you do that?
Yeah, I'm not religious.
Oh, well, there you go. Right.
Yeah. So like, how do you do it? Reason, logic, evidence, and facts.
Well, I'll take all that into account. Thank you so much
Wait,
for
so I have
Appreciate
a
you.
question. Since you're not religious, this kind of goes off topic, but where do you think you go after you die?
I don't know.
So do you believe in reincarnation, or
Nope.
so what are your beliefs in, like, after you die? Where would you think you'd go? Like, do you have any thoughts on it or
I
no?
have no clue.
No clue. Dang. Well,
That's the reality. No one knows. People who
I
claim
mean,
they
I
know
guess.
are lying to you.
I guess, but the Bible tells us that after you die, that you will go to heaven, and which is that the better side of the world. It's like Earth, but better because everyone's healthy. And
Okay, well then why didn't God send us directly to heaven?
say again.
Why didn't God send us directly to heaven? Why do we have to go to earth in the very first place if heaven is so much better?
Because you have, how do I explain this? So, in the sense that I was taught, it's he created Earth for all beings to live happy, free, and all that, like to believe in his word and to have no lies or anything. But when Adam and Eve was created, it created deceitfulness, lies, and sin. So therefore, and he created Earth to depict those who know right from evil.
Okay, is there free will in heaven?
Yes.
Do people understand the difference between good and evil?
Um, I'm not sure. I don't know if the Bible talks about that or not, but
Is heaven better than earth?
in the way that the Bible describes it, yes.
Is it possible for God to send us directly to heaven?
I'm not sure on that.
Do
You,
aborted
you got me
babies go
stumped.
to heaven?
Probably so, yes.
If aborted babies go to heaven and they don't have to go to earth in order to be able to experience heaven, then none of us had to go to earth in order to experience heaven. If
Well,
heaven
to
is
be
better
fair,
than earth, then it's logically concluded that if God's all knowing, all powerful, all good, that we would directly be placed in heaven as it's a more preferable state of existence comparative to the state of existence we have right now. If God is all knowing, all powerful, all good, that means he would create the most great set of existences that are possibly able to be created. That's because he's all knowing. He knows of its existence. He's all
yep.
powerful. He can create its existence. And he's all good,
Hmm.
meaning he has the preference in accordance with that particular set of condition. So that is the entailment. The logical entailment of reality would be that if it's possible, logically speaking, to go to heaven right away, and heaven is better than earth, then we would be in heaven without going to earth in the very first place. So you either have to believe in reincarnation or you have to believe
Hmm.
that there's a contradiction entailed by your religion. And reincarnation is not described at all within the context of the Christian Bible.
No, I was talking about, I was asking your sense if you thought reincarnation was a thing. I don't
I
think
understand.
reincarnation is a thing.
I understand, but you're
Yeah,
logically, you have to believe it in order for you to have a coherent worldview. But there's no evidentiary basis of it within Christianity.
gotcha. Okay.